Joining me to talk more about this is Jeff Ballabon with the American Center for Law and Justice. Jeff, great to be with you. Yesterday was an important day in U.S.-Israeli relations, a phone call with President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. From what you know about the call, what's your reaction?
Pain, outrage. This is a very dark day, not just in terms of U.S.-Israel relations, but I would say relations between the United States of America and good and evil, between the United States of America and God. What the Biden administration is now doing is unconscionable, and no one is pretending that it's about anything other than the Democrats' domestic political concerns. America is now publicly turning its back on Israel in its darkest time of need since its creation.
Now, in the call, President Biden asked Benjamin Netanyahu for an immediate ceasefire and also talked about protecting aid workers. Tragically, 7 were killed just a few days ago. What does this mean for Israel? What kind of position does this put Israel in?
It puts Israel in an absolutely impossible position. If Biden continues down this path, it becomes a genuinely existential threat to Israel. This is, Israel is now waging war, and to this day, even using the ridiculous numbers put forth by Hamas in terms of numbers of dead, Israel is waging a war with fewer civilian casualties than any war that we've ever recorded in history. It's extraordinary, in a very difficult circumstance, in a very crowded area. And by the way, part of the reason it's crowded, Chris, is because America is insisting on keeping those Arabs in place in a war zone, as opposed to what we do around the world in every other situation, which we encourage and try to implement the transfer of populations during war. America is complicit in boxing them in so that they can turn Israel into the bad guy.
It seems a few weeks ago, Senator Schumer called for elections. Benny Gantz called for elections. A few weeks ago, the CIA said there would probably be an overthrow of the government. Is this a progression of the White House and the Biden administration trying to undermine the Netanyahu government?
This is the Biden White House, as far as I can tell, and I don't want to speak for any organization here, but being here on the ground and also doing shuttle diplomacy, let's say, or being back and forth to the United States and to Washington, it seems pretty clear that there was an attempt by the Biden administration to help support groups that were trying to undermine the governing coalition before October 7th. Until October 6th, as you know, there was a lot of unrest in the streets here, and we know that some of the support for that was coming out of the United States. We looked into it at ACLJ. We knew at least some of the support not only came from the United States monetarily, but even a little bit seems to have come directly from the government, and certainly indirectly. Money was given, and money is fungible. Money was given by this administration to groups. Some of those groups have also given money to support the demonstrations here, completely targeted to destabilize the governing coalition.
What does this mean for the future of U.S.-Israeli relations?
It's become completely binary, Chris. It's become binary. There's one party that supports the U.S.-Israel relationship for real. There's another party that still thinks it's okay to use the rhetoric saying we support, but puts so many conditions on it that becomes more extortion than support. So, for example, right now, if you look at the two parties' platforms, the Republicans say Israel's a sovereign state, it's our ally, Israel seeks peace, Israel takes risk for peace, we trust Israel, we will support what Israel wants in its own best interests. The Democrats' platform says the opposite. It says we support Israel as our ally, however, only on condition that they create, not their words, but I'll use the words, a terror state, right, a jihadi terror state in Judea and Samaria. So that's not actually support, that's extortion. If they wanted Israel to survive, if they trusted Israel as a sovereign ally, then they would let Israel make decisions about peace and be supportive.
What position does this put Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in? They want to go into Rafah, finally defeat Hamas. Where does this put Israel and the Prime Minister?
Israel is between a rock and a hard place. I mean, you could look at the political realities here as well. Everyone here knows this is existential, that Israel has literally zero choice but to go in. And yet they're working, and yet we have an American administration working as hard as it can to demonize Benjamin Netanyahu and to undermine and break this coalition. The truth is, Chris, it's impossible to conceive of a coalition that will not have to go into Rafah at some point, or a situation in which Israel continues to live under the threat of more and more October 7th.
Yeah, Jeff Ballabon, thanks for your insight and analysis.
Thank you, Chris.